Is Donald Trump and America actually going to try to take Canada? This started off as a joke.
So your country can't survive unless it's ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion. And then Trump suggested to Trudeau that Canada become the 51st state, which caused the prime minister and others to laugh nervously.
And look, I still do think this is all a troll, but I mean, it's gone on for weeks at this point. With a ton of Donald Trump posts. I just left Wayne Gretzky. He posted this thing about this AI-generated image of him on the mountain with the Canada flag. Eric Trump, 51st state. Donald Trump basically saying, oh, Canada become the 51st state. Their taxes would be cut, etc. Then Eric Trump also had this posted, like a trolly image of Donald Trump basically with an Amazon cart with Canada, Greenland, and the Panama Canal. I think, though, that the most noteworthy thing that has come from all Donald Trump's trolling to Canada is how little Canada and Canadians are really pushing back. I mean, it's kind of sad to see. I agree with at least this headline. I didn't read this article, but opinion. We've lost our national identities from the Globe and Mail, and with it, our pride in our country. I fully believe Canada is a very demoralized place. Housing is totally out of control.
In places like Vancouver, British Columbia, it's not uncommon to see homes like this 3-bedroom 1949 bungalow going for $5.5 million.
Canada's system of immigration is broken, leading to a massive shift in sentiment about immigration in the country.
Yes, he is correct. 97% of Canada's population growth last year was from immigration.
It's not even illegal immigration. It's just
immigration. So when people say, well, we're a land of immigration. No, not 97%.
Right?
2/3 of Canadians believe that the government is letting in far too many people.
Canada has a relatively flat economy with a lack of high-paying jobs.
Canada's GDP per capita now lags the US by almost 29%.
And bank officials pointed to slowing economic growth, a rising rate of unemployment in the country as reasons for the big rate cuts.
And aside from economic reasons, there are protests in Canada seemingly every single weekend, oftentimes multiple protests popping up in major cities that have either nothing or at most charitable, very little to do with Canada. So you see this one here is from the Eaton Centre in Toronto, this massive protest that apparently was at an Indigo bookstore or just outside of it or whatever. Here's footage from another protest that was occurring in Montreal about a month ago. Actually, this night, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was at a Taylor Swift concert while this was happening, but protests like this occur as well in British Columbia and cities there, cities like Calgary, all over the country. And look, there are actually a bunch more reasons why Canadians could be demoralized. Churches in the country, in a very disturbing pattern, in recent years have been set on fire. Food bank usage in Canada is at record highs.
We have been doing this for decades, and it has never been so bad. And we are all so tired.
And a person could go on and on. It is incredible, though, the apathy in Canada to this trolling by Donald Trump. I think 10 years ago, he would have gotten a way more pushback, even if it was just more trolling online back in his direction. But Canadians, I think, are so demoralized. Here, prominent Canadians as well. God Sod basically saying, hey, Trump's floating of 60% reduction in taxes doesn't sound so bad. This is an earlier post, but Chamath from the All In podcast basically saying that there's a massive brain drain from Canada to the USA just because US is a bit better of a place to live, according to Chamath. And then there were these recent comments from relatively famous Kevin O'Leary.
Canadians over the holidays, the last 2 days, have been talking about this. They want to hear more. Think about the power of combining the two economies, erasing the border between Canada and the United States, and putting all that resource up to the northern borders where China and Russia are knocking on the door. So secure that, give a common currency, figure out taxes across the board, get everything trading both ways, create a new, almost EU-like passport. I like this idea, and at least half of Canadians are interested.
So I don't know where he's pulling that number that at least half of Canadians are interested. I think he's just making that up. But that's an incredible thing to say, again, for a pretty famous person from a country, to show how demoralized Canada is. Can you imagine a somewhat famous American going on a business show or a news show and saying something like that with regard to maybe the European Union? Like, oh, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to renegotiate or negotiate on America's behalf to maybe be included in some sort of new passport with Europe, Americans would online eviscerate that person. In Canada, to be fair, this is the first time I saw some pushback on X about these statements from Kevin O'Leary, like lots of people criticizing him, but not that many, and it's certainly not unanimous. It's incredible how so many Canadians are just like, I don't know, because I think, unfortunately, many Canadians share the sentiment of this woman. And look, it's an uncomfortable thing to say, but I think it's true.
And I'm no longer proud to say I'm Canadian. Yeah, if I could, if I didn't have kids and things like that, I would probably be leaving the country.
There are still many positives of Canada. For example, there is a ton of natural beauty. It's just the economic realities and the morale of the country. And I don't think the apology tour the country has been on in recent years did anything positive, really, for boosting spirits.
It is with shame and sorrow and deep regret. We were wrong. We apologize. I am sorry. We are sorry. Today I rise in this House to offer an apology on behalf of the Government of Canada for our role in the Komagata Maru incident.
And there are so many apology videos, by the way. You can go on and on watching those. I think the balance of focusing on the mistakes of the past and not celebrating the achievements of the past is way out of whack in Canada. And the cherry on top, I think, of all of this is how deep and long the COVID lockdown was in Canada that's contributed to a demoralized people.
The question of the day is, what do you think about the current state of Canada? Where would you say that we're heading as a country?
Honestly, I used to be a very proud Canadian prior to COVID. I've seen the world change a lot since COVID.
In many parts of Canada, the most populated parts, the COVID lockdown was amongst some of the deepest and longest in the entire world. I don't know how you're going to expect, especially the young, healthy people of those areas to be thrilled about that. 2 years in the prime of their life dealing with this COVID. It was obviously a massive inconvenience, weighed heavily on the mental health, physical health of many Canadians. It went on like way longer, by the way, than even the parts of America that locked down the most.
2 years ago today, the first case of COVID-19 in Canada was discovered right here at Sunnybrook Hospital. 24 months later, and we're still in the grips of a deadly pandemic.
What's also crazy to think about, Justin Trudeau, pictured on screen here, won an election in Canada in September 2021, right in the middle of the pandemic. That is actually wild to think about. Here he is talking about Canada, USA with Stephen Colbert.
A little different from the melting pot in the United States where everyone gets to be American.
Yes.
And then Trudeau and Colbert talk about this idea that Canada is not a melting pot, but a mosaic.
I've heard it described that America is a melting pot and Canada perceives itself as a mosaic.
And more of a mosaic or a tapestry.
But okay, if Canada is a mosaic, and I'm honestly asking this, I'm not trying to be cute, it's not a rhetorical question, does it really matter if it's the 51st state then or not? As long as America doesn't impose its melting pot on Canada that much, whatever that even means, and Canada can just be a cultural mosaic, does not being the 51st state help Canada? Does it not enrich richness of the society? Just more multiculturalism, more diversity. And it says here again, this is just from Google, but in a cultural mosaic, each cultural group maintains its distinct identity while still contributing to the whole. It's not like the American identity. Does that not just add to the mosaic?
So many of the members of the Polish community continue to speak Polish, even though they've been here for generations. Whereas, everyone sort of becomes American more.
Is that good, though? I mean, if people that are from Poland just keep speaking Polish in Canada, why is it surprising that many Canadians, if you have all these different groups of people just basically living like maybe their parents did or whatever country they immigrated from or their ancestors or whatever country they have some affinity to, they're just living like that culture. I don't know how anyone can be that surprised that apparently a majority of not maybe a majority, but a lot of Canadians are just like, I don't know, Trump's trolling us, whatever. They're not that emotional about it from what I've seen for the most part. Again, this Globe and Mail, just the headline, we've lost our national identity and with it, our pride in our country, that opinion piece. So when Donald Trump and his kid, Eric Trump, troll Canada and all this stuff. And to be clear, I still think this is a troll. I just think it's not that surprising when Canada is so demoralized. It's very unclear, like, what's the Canadian way of doing things? What's the culture? This long apology tour, the long COVID lockdown. My basic point is I don't think it's that surprising, unfortunately, for Canada, that Canadians are not that fired up about Trump's trolling. I think Trump has the best political instincts of any person on the planet. I think that's been proven over and over. Doesn't bat 1,000, but I think he's very correct on this one, that he can troll Canada and get away with it based on just like the mood of the country. Again, I fully, though, think this is still a troll. It's just like this story's gone on for almost a month. It's getting ridiculous. Anyway, with that said, I'll finish the video here, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.